and welcome to this edition of the Time with Hime podcast. I'm your host, Lynn Cordish, joined by our superintendent, Mr. Hime. Can you believe it? We made it to the last week of the school year.
Last week of the year. This is kind of the time you just hold your breath.
Everybody be good.
Graduation
Yay!
This weekend. Hopefully it's smooth to the end.
We're excited. We had seniors assemblies already happening this morning. We had a few little senior pranks. Eisenhower High School was really cute. Loved it.
Yep. That's that time of the year.
Yeah.
Fun pranks are okay as long as they don't do damage or to school property or harm anyone. So
don't want to get in trouble the last week of school.
Nope,
You've made it this
but
far.
So far, it's all been great. You know, we had our boat races last Friday. That was awesome. If you haven't seen those, you need to get on the webpage. The kids had a blast. It was fun. I went over and watched them build them. The parents were funny because the rules were no help, no adult help. And the adults they were just foaming at the mouth to get in there and help. But, hey, we got through it, and then they got in the water and raced, and that was fun. Some of the boats not so good. Some of them were awesome. The kids had a blast. They're learning a lot of things with STEM. Great day. This weekend we had a health fair.
Yes, mental health fair. It's a beautiful day.
And, that's what we're really working on going toward next year is how do we improve our mental health? How do we add more opportunities for our students to have social emotional learning.
And thanks to the Project Aware team for working with our community members. We had a lot of great vendors out there and supporting what the school district's doing and getting out there in the community.
One of the things we're looking at doing in our elementaries we hadn't really talked about is adding some assistant principals or principals in training so that it frees up our counselors from some of the things they do to help the principal to allow them to do more social emotional training or more one-on-one conversations with students just to deal with, some of the things we've gone through the last couple of years.
Right, and we're excited for those resources to be available to our students. Now, we have not had a guest in some time, but we get to welcome somebody. Would you like to introduce her?
Yes, with the Senate bill, I believe it's 1238, was passed and signed by the governor. It opened up transfers. We've had free transfers, but one place you couldn't transfer is virtually. Now you can transfer to any school virtually, and we believe at Lawton, we do virtual the best. We think our elementary virtual school is the best in the state, and they work harder. I have that saying, you don't have to be bad to get better. They live with that every day. So today we got Ms. Kelsey Roberts. She's joining us. She is the principal of our elementary virtual school. One thing we are doing next year is we're putting all the elementary teachers at Washington. So pre-K through 5 will all be at one site virtually. But just kind of tell us a little bit about what we do virtually that makes us the best.
So first of all, I want to say just how proud I am of our staff. What I think that Washington and Lawton Public Schools does virtually the best is families and students have access to a teacher every single day. I know with other competing virtual schools, that's not necessarily the case. We're very accessible to our families. We're backed with curriculum and a certified teacher, and so if you're going to pick virtual, it needs to be us.
And that's one thing we've talked a little bit about, and I've talked to parents, is we have parents that use different virtual schools that aren't local. We have parents that homeschool in some areas. They can pick us and work with us and develop that at-home curriculum where we can support them. They have access to a library. They have access to some of the things we do. I do believe this year's spelling bee champion was a virtual student. So there's some things there. Hopefully next year, if they didn't, do we have a virtual team in the boat race?
I don't think so.
But those are things that we want to. I think we've looked at robotics teams for them and trying to create to try to make it flexible where they don't have to be part of those things, but they do know they still have access to a library. They have access to a teacher. They have access to a counselor, what we just talked about. So we want to increase the opportunities for a virtual student. What else do you get? Tell me some of the things you did this year that sets you off from other virtuals.
So we do an event once a month, and that's something that we're going to carry over to next year. Again, kind of just to piggyback what you said is we want to provide opportunities to our virtual kids. Just because you're virtual doesn't mean you don't still crave that connection, and the kids do. I mean, the kids want to interact with one another, and so every month, the last one we did was Earth Day, huge hit. We partnered with a local car club, C3, and they came in and donated flowers. And I always get nervous because it's virtual. We don't ever see the kids. But then when we have an event, it's just everybody shows up. And so it is important, and it's what those families and students want. And we're just excited to get to do that and make it better for next year.
You know, that's one thing we've discussed, and you touched on it a bit. Some of the people I've talked about that use some of our other statewide virtual schools, and some of those, I call them for-profits, you can be nicer, but some of those for-profit, they're lucky if they have an interaction with the teacher more than once every 2 to 3 weeks.
Yep.
Whereas one of the things I know when we started this that we require or strongly encourage, because it's not always a perfect world, we expect our teachers to make contact with every student and parent every day.
Absolutely.
And we put out what we're doing for the week. We put out expectations. We have a scope and sequence for our parents to see. We have curriculum right there for them, and we're going step to step, zooming through. And you know, talk a bit about, because I know you have kids in and out from different ones. What do you hear from parents when they realize how much more hands-on you are than some of the other virtual schools?
It's something that I try to be humble about, but honestly, we had a family in particular that left us to go to a for-profit school, and I called that family up and I said, hey, you know, why did you leave us? What can we do better? What do you need? And it wasn't a week later before they came back to us. They just said, oh no, y'all are doing it right, and we love it. And I mean, I just kind of want to drive home. We are virtual. We have classes every single day, but next year in particular, we're going to try and push and offer more in-person things. We're looking at potentially starting a once a week where kids can come into the building for a couple of hours. You know, the middle school and high school, they kind of already have some tutoring things where they can come in, but the elementary didn't do that. Next year we're going to open our doors a little bit more and get some kids in person with their teachers, and again, just provide more educational opportunities for them.
And you know, you mentioned the secondary. The secondary is really flexible too, and you guys do a lot alike. And we'll bring Miss Mason on at a later date and let her talk about what she offers, because if you're in this area where you know people that are virtual and you're interested in enrolling in our virtual, first of all, we don't require the hands-on. It's an opportunity we offer. And, you know, we discussed this earlier. We're not looking at recruiting virtual students from all over the state to come, but if you're in this area and you're using one of the for-profits or you're struggling with the virtual you have because of lack of connection, or engagement you get with your teacher, please contact us. And, you know, we have our lps.org website. You can get on there, and always you can email info@lawtonps.org, and get questions answered if you're interested. And obviously, I know Kelsey will call you during the summer or whatever, and we'll set up where you can kind of see how we do it. One of the other things I think we do that's second to none is our teachers come to work. And so they're in rooms together, they're side by side. So if we end up like next year, we have 2 first-grade virtual teachers, they collaborate on every day on what's working and what's not working. How are they reaching students? How are they doing things? And I'm sure you've seen some tremendous growth the last 2 years in that.
Oh, yeah. You know, and I want to stress that virtual, if you tried out virtual that first year, I mean, we were building the plane while it was in the air. And we've gotten so much better. You know, your phrase, you don't have to be bad to get better. Well, we've gotten better, and next year we're going to be better again. And so we're just evolving. And if you tried virtual out and you're like, oh, that wasn't really for me, and you're thinking about it again, come talk to us, because it is different and it's a lot better, and we're excited.
And May of 2020 to May of 2022 is light and day different in what virtual.
Yes.
You know, and that's one thing we talked about, and as a superintendent, you know, hats off to you and your team, because I like to challenge people. And when we, you know, I moved in when that went virtual, and then when we sat down that summer in August and we said we're going to have to do virtual in August of 20 for that 2021 school year, one of the things we challenged, you know, from my seat, I just point blank said, if we're going to do it, we're going to be the best at it. Mm-hmm. And it's always fun to say that, but I got to give a shout out to you and your team, because y'all became the best. I didn't become the best, you guys did. And that's a shout out to all the Lawton people in virtual across our district, because there's no doubt in my mind Lawton Public Schools does virtual better than anybody in the state, and we're always getting better. So big shout out to you and team, and thanks for all y'all do.
Yes, and thank you, Kelsey, because we have a big virtual program with the secondary. So Miss Mason, Miss Collins, Miss Harrison, your counterpart that was helping, and now having our elementaries in one building like we have our secondaries is going to be huge. So, and if you haven't seen any of our photos of what they've done virtually, on-site and in person, check out our social media because you are doing fabulous things for the kids, and we love it. So thank you for joining us today. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, just that virtual is a hub for it's not a neighborhood school. We get kids from all over Lawton. So it's not a Washington baby. It is a Lawton Public Schools kiddo because we get them from everywhere, and you don't have to be in a certain place. And especially now with that new bill passing, you could be in a different city and come and experience some of the greatness that we have here. So.
Well, thank you for joining us, and we will follow up with you as the year goes on in the summer, and enrollment is open. So if you guys are interested, give her a shout. Let her know that you're coming. And Ms. Roberts, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk with you soon. Mr. Hime, lots of great things going on. One thing tomorrow that I want to remind our families about, which we've worked on, is having the physicals tomorrow.
Free to everyone.
Everybody. And we've had the first date already on a Saturday. Tomorrow is a Tuesday to kind of grab some of our families that are busy on the weekend.
And if you compete in athletics, you have to have a physical. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know if they've included it yet, but I guarantee you esports will get included in that sooner or later because it is it has become an OSSAA activity. So make sure you're getting those physicals.
And then we have some celebrations and recognitions of our athletic teams. Since we're talking about physicals, we had Lawton High School. They had a second place in their track meet in the hurdles, Devin Simpson.
Awesome.
And then EHS tennis.
They were runner-ups, I believe. Very
yes,
good.
Doubles, the Phelps, the brothers, Jacob and Josh. So
it's very exciting time of the year. Make sure you're watching and look. We had a lot of great things going on.
Is there anything else you want to give a shout out to?
I personally want to give a shout out to all the staff at Lawton Public Schools. I came here in March of 20, and one of the challenges you have when you take a new job is, how's the staff going to be? How are they going to work? And we've done some things, but I've been incredibly lucky because I've received some statewide recognition this year for some of the things I've done. But really, that's not for me. That's for Lawton Public Schools. There is nothing I've done or anything that my name is put beside that I've received recognition for that could have happened without you guys. So staff, teachers, bus drivers, all of our administrative team, sometimes an award may have one guy's name on it, but it's really an award for the whole school. Everybody who works here, every student was a part of creating that opportunity for that. So a big shout out to you guys for allowing me to get some personal recognition that really is undeserved. But thanks to all of your hard work, I'm blessed and humbled to receive that award.
And you won't say it, but I will. So the OASA Superintendent of the Year is our very own Mr. Hime, and you are well-deserving.
And it does kind of get confusing because there's a regional Superintendent of the Year. It's just our region, and that was humbling to win. But then when they put all the regional in and pick one out of all the
there's 20 districts.
Yeah, so they pick one out of all 509 superintendents for that year. That's just humbling. And, again, it's a shout-out to everybody around me and everybody at this school because that shows people are seeing that you guys are making a difference.
And we're excited to have everybody on our staff. I cannot believe this is the last podcast of the school year, but we're going to be back.
Yes.
In the summer, we have a lot of great things. We have a lot of great people to bring on and show. Mr. Hime, give them our email address and website.
LawtonPS.org and info@LawtonPS.org. Sure, send us, hey, summer's coming up. You got questions about LTAP, makerspaces, the LRC. We got 2 or 3 students with over 50 hours of free college, what we're doing, who's eligible. You as parents need to get involved with your students' education and let us know so we'll get people on this podcast. We'll share anything we can to try to have a better informed public.
And we want to give our congratulations to our class of 22 seniors. It's a big week for them. We have a lot of great things, so keep an eye out on our social media because we're going to celebrate them all week long.
Oh, yes, all week long.
Mr. Hime, we're here. Thank you again for joining us, and, we're excited. Graduation, we will live stream it, so if you can't make it to the graduation in person, we'll have it on our YouTube page. Until then, Mr. Hime, let's wish them farewell and thank them.
Congratulations to all the graduates and their families.
All right, be well, stay safe, and make positive impacts. We'll see you guys later. Have a good one.